I'm Jackie Pellegrin.
Welcome to AI 101, where innovation meets understanding, breaking down artificial intelligence into clear, practical insight that empower you to navigate, adapt, and lead in AI-driven world. Another week, another great episode for sure, right, partner?
Yes, another week. Wow, hard to believe it. Episode 9.
Episode 9.
It's gone by fast.
Yay! So fast. And we need an applause for that, Miss Jackie. We need an applause. Just like yesterday, we're talking about AI 101. How to start AI 101. Actually, Miss Jackie is the one to propose AI 101, right? And Tech 101.
Yes, it just kind of fell in our lap as we say. Yeah, idea just came about, right? So I just can't believe we're almost in the double digits. Wow,
Yes,
it's
a
flown by.
double digit episode. From from this moment, our AI 101 and Tech 101. What the other one? Mystery Stories 101. What else, Miss
Hmm.
Jackie? The other one,
Current events
Current
101.
Events
Yeah.
101. It's not yet on the podcast itself because we are doing more episodes so that once we publish, wow, we have something to offer. But now you can, for the meantime, you can watch us live every Friday and every Saturday on all social media. So please do watch us, listen to us, what we are talking about. So, Miss Jackie, what will be our topic for today?
Yeah, so this one is about the rules. So it's called the rules of the game. Who's governing AI? Big question, right? So it seems
Yeah.
like AI is moving faster than the rules that are being made, right? Whether it's in Congress, in the United States here, or wherever we are. So governance seems to be a moving target, right? It's hard to pin it down. As they
Mm.
say, the cat's out of the bag now, and it's like, oh, now we got to wrangle this thing called AI, and what is it about? Yeah, so it's big. Yeah,
What is all about? Well, the question who governs artificial intelligence is one of the most, I think, important debates of the modern technological era. Because we need to
right.
govern AI, right? We
Yes.
need to have a guardrails that we can use this anywhere, anytime, or any kind of scam that they can
Mm,
use, right?
right. That's so true. Yeah, because a lot of people don't trust the government to govern things and to manage things. Look at how that things have turned out, right? So people are leery about that, about trusting the government. But then companies, you kind of wonder, what are they after, right? Is it all about profit? So you kind of wonder with that too. And we've seen some of the lawsuits that have come from that, and government and companies trying to work together, and then that doesn't work out, and so one sues the other. So then, do the courts do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then, yeah, so it's like, I don't it's hard because I don't think there can be one entity that can govern it, because if you have one entity, I don't know, it seems like that gets into a sticky situation. But then if you have too many people, too many entities involved, then you don't know what's clear and what's not, and you have everybody that interprets things differently. So it's hard. It's like you want it to be as close to the people, I think, as possible, because if you have big tech, if you have all these companies and government doing it, I think that gets away from the people that need to be a part of that. And because otherwise people are going to, yeah, there's going to be tension in that. And I don't think that's the best way to do it. So it's going to, so it's tough. I don't know if I have the answer. I don't to
Mm-hmm.
that. I don't know about you, but yeah, it just seems like it's kind of a hodgepodge right now of who does govern it, right? And
Yes.
who should govern it, right?
Yes, who will govern AI? And we need to govern AI, especially nowadays. Iran using what? Drones. How about
Mm-hmm.
those drones are what? Dre- Uh, done by the AI.
Right.
So we
Yeah.
need to govern AI most especially our government, to propose something that will control AI nowadays, because we are not ready for it, whether
Right.
you like it
Yeah.
or not.
Mm-hmm.
These
Yeah, I think
booming
there has to be a
technology.
balance, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, who truly, Miss Jackie, what do you think? Who truly holds the most power in shaping the future of artificial intelligence? Is it the government, technology companies, or the global institutions?
Mm. Yeah, that's an interesting thing because I could think it can go several ways. Although I think here in the United States, I don't think the government has a hold on it. I don't think they know really what direction to go. I think part of it is because a lot of the Congress people in in the United States government, like senators and everything like that, a lot of them, unfortunately, are older. Like they've been in Congress for 40 years. Some of them, Daniel. So they're in their 70s, 80s. I mean, they may know about technology, but I don't know if they really understand and can fully grasp what AI is about. And
Hmm.
and um and then I wonder too with the companies, like I mentioned earlier, what's their goal, right, in offering these types of services? I mean, you look at OpenAI, you look at Anthropic, all these different tools, Google, they're all trying to get a slice of the pie, right? And so you kind of wonder, is it all for profit? Are they putting safety and guardrails in there? Is there transparency in that and privacy? So yeah, so you often wonder. But I think it needs to be a partnership because yeah,
Mm.
again, I don't think it should be any one entity that should govern it. I think it should be a partnership, and they need to come up with a clear plan for that, about all of that, because I think what happens is, like, here in the United States, they have this social media um, law out here. So I forget what it's called, but it basically means that social media companies cannot be held liable for things, like they can't be sued but I don't think that's a good idea because now we're seeing the implications of it, right? Of AI, especially with young people. I mean, social media with young people. So same thing with AI. I think if there's no guardrails, if things are unchecked for too long, I think that can cause problems. We've already seen problems with it here in the United States with young kids using it, and so yeah, like we've talked about before with those dangers. So yeah, so I think there needs to be some enforcement, but also not too much, right? To where people don't have the ability to be creative with the tools and things like that. So I don't think we want to lock it down too much, but I think, yeah, we just need to figure that out. Maybe as a not just as a United States, but maybe globally as well, how we're going to tackle that. Yeah, as a society.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Because AI is so fast and we are so slow to have these laws to prevent anything, to have these uh, handrails, or to support us in anything that will happen, or it will result for catastrophic, because we are not ready for it.
Right.
So, do you
Ex-
think, Miss Jackie, should AI development be regulated the same way societies regulate industries like medicine, aviation, or nuclear energy?
I think so, because I think what we're seeing is that our power grids won't be able to handle all of the AI technology as it becomes more and more common, right? So, for example, out here in the United States, they're building all these AI data centers, but that takes time. That takes years to do that, get it up and running. So, they're doing quite a few in Texas, and I can't remember where else they're doing some. The Trump administration had announced that they were teaming up with Oracle and trying to remember the other company, and I can't remember the name, but there were a couple of companies that they're
Mm,
teaming up with to do that. And so Oracle is one of the companies that's going to be part of that and building those data centers to handle that. So we always have to think about what's the carbon footprint of it, right? Um,
yeah.
so yeah, so it's kind of interesting because there's an analogy I like to think of when it comes to governance of AI. It's kind of like when cars weren't as common, there were no seatbelts for cars, so there
Yeah.
weren't the safety features available. I remember, uh, when because my grandfather had antique cars. He had cars from the early 1900s all the way up to the 1940s. Well, when
Mm-hmm.
I would go out on a car ride with him, I'd hop in the car. All we'd have to do is just get in the car and go. Or they would have cars that would have rumble seats in the back, so it was where the trunk usually was. And my grandpa would be like, "Hey, here you go. You want to go for a ride?" And he'd open up the rumble seat. He'd just open up the lid, and there would be a seat in the back, and he'd just plop me in the back and say, "Okay, let's go for a ride." No seatbelts. But then as cars became more common, then they decided, oh, we need seatbelts, we need airbags, right? So I think that's kind of the same analogy. AI right now is being used, but I think, yeah, we're gonna need some quote unquote seatbelts and airbags to help protect us from the whiplash, right? Exactly. So we don't end up bleeding and going, oh my goodness, what did I just do to myself? Yeah, we don't want
Yes.
all that whiplash later on, and then regret it later on, and then it's hard to manage it, and it's hard to reel it back in if we just let it be the wild wild west, right? So yeah, so we have to get those norms and laws to happen now before it's years down the road, and then we realize that because there could be human lives at risk, even more so than there are now. So that's
Mm-hmm.
important. Yeah, there's a lot of
Great.
ethical things. Mm-hmm.
Yes, great analogy, Miss Jackie. As we are saying, artificial intelligence development should likely be regulated with a framework similar to industries like medicine, aviation, and nuclear energy, but with adjustments, with reflect the unique nature of software and digital technology. As Miss Jackie saying, we need to have those uh, handrails that
Mm-hmm.
control us, that we can control AI because it's so fast. How can government keep up with the rapid pace of AI innovation without slowing technological progress? Miss Jackie.
Right. Yes, I think one thing they can do is, um, I mean, I know it's hard now because it's already out there, but at least try to get ahead as much as we can and understand it. I know it's hard because it's changing week by week, but at least try to maybe come up with I don't know, some type of plan or something like that where they can have this framework in place or something to do that. And then I know, yeah, so that's the hard part. At least here in the United States, I'm not sure about where you are in Canada, but it takes time for the government there's bureaucracy in it. So it takes time for them to go through, and first it has to be debated on in the House of Representatives, and then they vote on it. And then if it passes, then it goes to the Senate, and the Senate debates, and then they vote on it. And then if it passes there, then it goes to the president. The president signs it into law. But it doesn't always go that smoothly because you have the two different sides, right? You have Republican, Democrat, and you have independents in the middle. So there's always that, they feel like there should be certain things, and then the other party feels like there should be other things. So it hardly ever goes that smoothly where it just goes right to the president's desk. So sometimes laws can take months or years to become law. So or bills to become law, I mean. So that's the thing too, is if we start now, I guess that's a good thing, but we have to be prepared for that it may take years for things to become law. So we have to be prepared
Mhm.
for that. Yeah. And do our own diligence, right? Of doing the research and protecting ourselves. And so, it's kind of like you were talking about with medicine, right? It's kind of like when we go to the doctor, we ask the doctor certain questions, right? If we're feeling certain pain or something's going on and we're not quite sure what it is, well, we go to the doctor to find out what's going on. The doctor may order tests, right? And things like that. But at the same time, we have to be the ones to know our own bodies and be our own advocate. So it's kind of like with AI, we have to know it and be our own advocate for it, because at the end of the day, the government's not going to watch what you're doing on the computer all the time or on your app. So yeah, so we I think we have to be our own advocate and advocate for those around us, our loved ones, our children, our parents, grandparents, things like that. So all those people that we love and care for, advocate for them, and yeah, and watch out for those things that may come around, right? Like scams and things like that. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Well said, Miss Jackie. Yes, governments can keep up with the rapid pace of artificial intelligence innovation by adopting adaptive, collaborative, and risk-based regulatory strategies rather than relying on slow, rigid policy or frameworks. So, Miss Jackie, do you think what ethical responsible to do technology companies have when developing powerful AI systems that could influence billions of people?
Right. Yeah, there could be a lot of implications to that. So I think one thing they need to do is treat it just like any other type of technology or software, and make sure that there's safety measures in place, especially for young individuals, but also for senior citizens as well, because they may not be aware of what's going on. So I think there needs to be that, and also for organizations as well, because organizations have proprietary information. And if a company is going to use their AI system, then they need to have the protections in place for those companies so that it doesn't leak out on the internet. So, and then just I also think it's part education too, and these companies need to do a good job of educating the consumer and the other companies that are using it, so that they have awareness of, okay, don't put your personal information in there, these are the things you should not do, and here's how you can protect yourself. So I think they have a fiduciary responsibility to that, to make sure that um, they give the consumer that information, and that they're well informed, and they're not just going there blindly doing it. So so I think if they're going to be the experts in it, and they're going to be creating the software and bringing it to people, I think they can't just put it out there. They have to give the correct training and information to help them be informed about it as well. What are your thoughts on that?
Wow, well said, Miss Jackie. Yes, technology compares that build powerful artificial intelligence system carry profound ethical responsibility because the technologies can shape information, influence decisions, and impact billions of people across society. First, their responsibility to ensure safety and reliability, right? Just like Miss Jackie talking about the seatbelt, and it evolved from seatbelt to airbag and many more. Just like I think AI will do in the future. So, Miss Jackie, could international cooperation create a global framework for AI governance, or will AI regulation remain fragmented by national interests?
Hmm, that's a good question. Yeah, I often wonder, because I look at all these other international bodies like the UN and World Health Organization, and I don't know. Often wonder if we're better off because of those international organizations, because you have all these leaders, right, that are in these different countries, and not everyone has the same morals, the same values. The culture is different in each country. So I often wonder if that would actually work. If you could have an international governing body for AI, or if it should be left to each country to figure that out on their own. Yeah, I often wonder. I think that might end up working best, because like here, for example, in the United States, we do have national voting laws, but then also there's state and local voting as well. So, it's the states manage voting whenever there's an election. But because they have the local elections, they have the state elections, and then there's the federal, right? So that's why there's different layers of that when it comes to voting and things like that. So I kind of think it could be the same. Probably it could be a layered approach, but yeah, I often wonder how that would work. I don't know. I don't know if you could have an international body of people when China, like for example, China and the United States are they're calling it the AI race, and China's trying to do all of this, and they try to do it cheaper, right? But they don't have the safety and the guardrails in place. So, would you have countries like China that would say, no, we don't want to participate in that international governing body? So you could have some countries that don't participate, and then what happens with that? So yeah, so I think there would have to be some care in that and thinking through that, and not just putting something together just because, right? Yeah. Oh, Danielle, you're on mute.
Sorry, Miss Jackie.
That's okay.
Yes. Well said, Miss Jackie. Well said. International cooperation could help create a global framework for AI governance, but in practice, it will likely coexist with significant national level regulation driven by geopolitical economic interests. I think, as we're talking about, we need to govern each of the countries, and af- after that, we need a national governance which holds all the regulation of each countries, right? Just
Right.
like to validate if you are doing the right thing or not,
I would
which is
agree. Yeah.
which is most of the cases what's happening, just like our health, right?
Hmm.
In individual countries, there's a system that controls health, and I think in the world we have WHO, which is called
Hmm.
that World Health
Right.
Organization, which is the same pattern with AI, right? We have AI organization. Why not, right? We need to have that to validate if what we are doing is right or wrong or ethical, or you're guiding or you're following the guidelines of AI organizations. Why not, right? So,
Mm.
Miss Jackie, how might AI governance affect economic competition between major powers such as your country, United States, China, and the European Union?
Yeah, so I think it's yeah, I think that's going to be interesting because there's so much competition already, right, with other types of technology. So, there's always going to be countries or companies that are going to want to do it cheaper and faster, without going through the safety checks. So, yeah, so I think that's going to be challenging because they want to stay in competition. But I think yeah, I think there's going to be some companies that are going to not not follow the rules and want to
Yes.
bend the rules a little bit. Yeah, and we see
Mhm.
that happening with other sectors too, and technology and things like that. So um, yeah, and I often wonder if we have a global governing body, who would be on that board, right? Would you have representatives from different countries on it? How would it be structured and things like that? So that's something to carefully look at too when it comes to that. And then how often do they need to meet and go over those things because of this technology changing so fast? I think it's something that if it is something that's established down the road, I think they need to kind of keep up with it because it's going to keep changing. And if they fall behind, then that's not good, right? So yeah, I think
But,
it's gonna take a village, right, to do it. I don't think it can be one person, one entity, yeah, one government or anything. It's gonna
mm,
take a village to keep up with it. That's, yeah.
yes, certainly. AI governance can significantly shape economic competition among major powers because regulations influence how quickly technologies are developed, deployed, and commercialized. The approach taken by, well, of course, United States, China, and European Union reflect different strategy priorities that can affect their global economic positioning. For sure, if these laws will affect our economic status, why should the United States do it? Let it go. Or the China itself or the European Union. If we'll dissolve the status quo as a superpower or something, like China is claiming that they are the biggest economies, right, in the world
Mm.
after what? India, then the United States. So how can we govern AI if they they lose their, let's say, status quo, that superpower?
Mm.
How would they, how would they implement the guardrails that make AI, well, more safer and more reliable to people?
That's good. I think what they need to do is have some type of benchmark to where they can say this is the not necessarily minimum viable product, right, of what you want, but what is the guidelines going to be? Are they based on certain benchmarks? And then I think that's where they need to do that, because again, like we were talking about earlier, each country is going to want to do things differently, but I think as long as you set up that baseline and that benchmark of where you want things to be, I think that'll really help establish that, and then you can always go back and make changes to it. So but have that benchmark in place, and then I think that'll help kind of steer it in the right direction.
A benchmark indeed, or guardrails, or limitation, or something that we can govern AI in short. So, Miss Jackie, would you like to plug in something?
Sure, Daniel, I always appreciate this. So if anyone wants to check out my podcast, it's about education and instructional design. It's called Designing with Love. So you can check it out wherever you listen to your podcasts. I appreciate it.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Jackie Pellegrini, because if you support her for some more and more empowering episodes will rise. And please do listen to our sixth podcast with Miss Jackie, with all the 101s. You know, AI
Yes.
101, Tech 101, and what else? Jackie?
We also have Mystery Stories 101. We have Current Events 101, Coaching 101, and Bible Verses 101. Wow.
Yes. We are a podcast machine. So, in conclusion, people, the governance of artificial intelligence is becoming one of the defining challenges of the 21st century. As the technology grows more powerful and influential, the question is no longer simply about innovation, but about how society manages the balance between technological progress, ethical responsibility, and global economic competition. So, whatever the outcome of AI, let's, well, shape this breakthrough that will help us, that will give us something that we will proud in the future, just like cars. So, Miss Jackie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for joining us, and keep learning.
What do you got, people? See you soon.